In order to be attractive to local people, you need to have a brand. People need to know you exist. So we're going to look at community outreach, the specifics of that in a different lesson. But what I want to do here is encourage you to get your brand known in at least a 6-mile radius of your care setting. Why would you want to do that? Well, people are much more likely to join an organisation that they and their friends, or they think their friends, have heard of. And the classic example in the UK, of course, is that the NHS brand, people would be very proud to work for them. They just have to mention it to friends and family and there's a kind of cooing noise. So the challenge for us as independent, smaller care providers is no one's really heard of us. So what we need to do is get the word out locally. And the difference with branding and advertising, job advertising, is that branding doesn't really have a call to action. It's getting your name out there and associating it with good things in order to build a reputation. So both awareness and a positive reputation. So it's like background music, drip feeding, the mood music for people. Oh yeah, no, I think I've heard of that company somewhere before, and that really is going to help people make that final decision to apply to you. So how can we do that? Well, there are many ways. For example, simply applying for or entering local awards competitions, and you'll be surprised how many of these there are in local communities and towns and cities. Sort of business awards or some other awards that you can apply for, and even being nominated is worth shouting about. So have a look for things where you can be award winning, because people love working for a winning team. It's also quite easy to sponsor local charities and causes that will get you both into contact, as we'll see when we look at sourcing in more detail, with the right kinds of people that are giving and volunteering, but also gets your brand out there associated with a very good cause. And there'll be many local charities, again, more than you think, that will be well worth approaching. A classic might be something like your local hospice, because they have a huge group of supporters, families and friends that understand what personal care is, but we'll come back to them later. Also, local newspapers. Probably you're finding that advertising in the local newspapers got rather expensive and the responses have dropped away. And that's obviously largely as a result of the drive in online internet job boards and the impact that's had on local newspapers. And it's true their circulations are broadly speaking dropping every year. But if you think about those newspapers, they need local news. And often they've lost journalists, they don't have as many staff. So really they rely on organisations like yours to provide them with stories. So if you can find a high quality image of things that your staff are doing, that maybe they're doing something particular course they're taking, or they're raising money in some way, or someone's achieved an award, really the more faces you can get in that photo, the better. If it's a high quality photo with a story attached, you'll find that if you can build a relationship with the local newspaper, they might well take that and run it. And that is a very effective way of building your brand. You also have the ability to put information, of course, on Facebook, social media, saying the sorts of things you're doing. So it's very important always to be thinking, where can I get a photo and a little story? What can I say that we're doing, and how can I get the word out about that? You might find that if you have inspection regime in your area or in your social care sector, that if you get a good rating, if you're externally rated, you win some sort of quality award, that is a very good way of using that as publicity. So community visibility, and it is important, and it's not as hard as you think to get the word out in this really very small recruitment hinterland that we have. Many ways of doing it. But also think about differentiating yourself. Now, I mentioned earlier about a dog, and dogs have a very important role in social care because there are many people who love dogs. And we'll see later that owners of particularly dogs, I mean cats to some extent, but particularly dogs, are overrepresented in social care compared to the typical amount of households in any country that would own a pet like that. And that means those people are caring for something that needs them. But also dogs are a real draw. Pets, anything cute is catnip to the social media generation. So think about including a dog in the work you do. In fact, one of the most successful care businesses I found in the US used a dog. It was the owner's dog actually, and Lucy had a blog and was on the front page of the website and did all sorts of things all year. Had a Christmas hat on at Christmas, was doing pet therapy work as well directly with clients, and people loved that, and it really differentiated and gave a personality to the business. So think about using animals where you can. What I'd like you to do now is download the checklist that we've attached here of possible community branding opportunities, and take a look through and think about which ones you're not using, and build a plan of what you could do to start getting your brand awareness out there. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It will take a little while to slowly build this, but you'll notice in a few months' time the impact of this, the increase in word of mouth, in people calling in, inquiring about jobs will go up. So I thoroughly recommend it, and let's see how you get on.